Bitcoin is now dumping below $76,000 as the trade war escalates. In today's video, we'll be discussing exactly that, going over the key levels that I am keeping my eyes on, and we'll also be looking at how far Bitcoin is currently at from Michael Saylor's entry price. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. To kick us off, Bitcoin is now absolutely plummeting with the trade wars escalating. What we saw today come out is that the Chinese finance minister is about to impose additional tariffs of 84% on US goods. Naturally, Bitcoin is dumping with this news. We also have a good summary here by the Kobasi letter. Let me just share it with you. So right after midnight, additional tariffs of 50% were imposed on Chinese imports to the US. 7 hours later, China just announced new tariffs of 50% on US imports in addition to the 34% that was already announced. This brings their total tariff rate up to 84%, matching the 34% and 50% increases that Trump imposed. The Trump administration had pledged to retaliate against all tariff increases on the US. We expect another increase in US tariffs on China in the coming days. We are really witnessing World War III of tariffs. Couldn't have been said any better. And looking at Bitcoin, we are now dumping since bouncing from $74,400. Do I think we will go lower? It is very likely, especially with this stock performance. Yes, I like to do a little bit of simple TA on the channel, but sometimes we can't ignore these macro factors. If the trade wars continue, Bitcoin and stocks will likely continue to dump as well. Something interesting to show you on this chart, if I zoom out, is the fact that we are well below the 200-day moving average still. And if I go on the daily time frame, we can see that we essentially broke down from this rising wedge. We weren't able to reclaim the 200-day moving average as support, which also coincided with this orange box that we've been talking about on the channel for a while, between 86.5 to 87.5K. We kept on getting rejected, and now we are getting much lower from a technical perspective. Now, the key level that we've been going over time and time again is the previous year's range high, right around $73,000. If we lose $70,000 and we don't get a great V-shaped recovery, it is game over for Bitcoin and the crypto market for this cycle. We just cannot ignore those facts. We broke down, and this is what the charts are telling us. Personally here on this chart, I am not looking for any longs for Bitcoin unless we retest the 74.4K level and it's looking like we're holding it as support. Aside from that, I am still favoring shorts in this market. And that reminds me, if you want to trade this recent Bitcoin price action, you can click the first link in my description down below. It brings you directly to weeks where you even get a 50% deposit bonus. It's up to $1,000, which means that if you deposit $2,000 into your weeks account, you get $1,000 back for your trading. All you need is an email and a password to sign up, and it's literally as simple as depositing funds into your week's futures account, and you get that additional 50% bonus within 48 to 72 hours. It's the first link in my description down below. Now, Bitcoin spot ETFs, something else that we need to address. This is the first time in a while that BlackRock has been selling. We can see that on April 2nd, they did sell $100 million worth of Bitcoin on their client's behalf. And now, yesterday, we saw some more selling. If the market is red today, it's very likely that we see the exact same thing from BlackRock. And yesterday alone, we had over $300 million worth of Bitcoin sold by these spot ETFs. Now, Ethereum, we only saw $3 million of outflows, but the price action for ETH has been absolutely dire. And one of the reasons being here is because it appears like World Liberty Financial have started to offload some of their Ethereum at a loss. What we can see is that according to Arkham, a wallet linked to World Liberty sold 5,471 Ethereum at $1,465 just 30 minutes ago. World Liberty Financial previously spent over $200 million to buy over 67,000 Ethereum at an average price of $3,259. And you might remember Eric Trump's tweet saying that Ethereum was a good buy at those levels, right around the $3,000 mark. Well, it has since dropped over 50% since he put out that tweet. I don't think that they're just going to go ahead and sell all of their holdings. It's probably to do with a little bit more risk management given the global trade war. Over the long term, I still think that they'll be holding their Ethereum position relatively strong. And that's why I've already started to accumulate Ethereum at these levels as shared in my Telegram community. And speaking of ETH, we have to touch on Ethereum against Bitcoin. As you know, the best way to invest in the crypto market is to always evaluate your altcoin against Bitcoin. Because if your altcoin is not outperforming Bitcoin, then what's the point? You're taking on more risk for less return. And as we can see here, since the Fed started quantitative tightening, Ethereum against Bitcoin has just continued to drop. And we are now at levels not seen since January 2020 for the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. This is absolutely crazy. I was hoping that the 0.02 level could hold, but clearly not. And I will remind you though, I still don't think that Ethereum is dead. Over time, it will come back, but you just need to be patient. And since I had a solid cash position ready, I already started dollar cost averaging into Ethereum for the future. Now, the last thing that I wanted to address in this video is Michael Saylor's Bitcoin buys. His average price was right around $67,485. And you can see that he continuously bought the top. Now, what I really wanted to show you here is how far off we are off his average price. So check this out. From the current levels, Bitcoin just needs to drop just over 11% before we are at the average price that Michael Saylor accumulated his Bitcoin. Quite crazy when you consider that he started buying all the way back here around $10,000 per Bitcoin. And that's all I wanted to cover in today's quick video. Trade wars continue to escalate, and I personally would not be looking for longs. I know people will say that we are still in a bull market, and from a technical perspective, we are, so long as we can hold above the previous range highs, right around $70,000, $73,000. But I have continued to look for shorts in these markets, especially when we get the kind of bounces that we have seen recently. We need to see a kind of resolution to the trade war. Otherwise, stocks will continue to crash, and so will Bitcoin. But for the long term, despite all the market-wide panic, I will continue to reiterate that Bitcoin is the gold of the 21st century, and I will continue to accumulate this asset with all of the profits that we make trading this market. If you want to trade the market, as I discussed earlier in the video, click the first link in my description. It brings you to weeks, and you have that amazing 50% deposit bonus. That sums up today's quick video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.